Welcome back to the Punch channel. This is Inflection Point by MMP, and it is the entry of the Tank Army scenario, turn 3, and this will be the second formation activation. So, little background, we are fighting over these points A, the 2 points B, and the points C here. Currently the Germans own all of them, and therefore they have 3 routes, Route A, Route B, Route C, and that gives them 3 victory points. They do not own D, but they're not exactly trying for it at the moment, down here. So in the first activation, we had 196th Rifle Division, RD, come up and not do a whole lot of anything. I think they did some minor driving back of 16th Panzer, falling back on Ostrov right here, which is a fairly critical point for them. So they completed their work, their move, if you will, their formation activation, and now it came time for the Germans to do one as well, and I picked KG-60. Now, there's a reason for that. I wanted a third motorized. Third motorized is a bit weak in the first place. So I wanted them to be able to react to things. 16th Panzer is actually not in a bad position. They have a number of uncommuted units and a fair amount of strength in their available units in the Dobrinsky area, and so I think that they can afford to go later. Perhaps even after 13th Tank has had a go at them. So we'll see how that works out. So KG-60, on the other hand, was a free agent, with 196th having shot their bolt and partially obscuring, if you will. Their blob is kind of making a mess of 131st Rifle Division that is going to have a little difficulty getting up here in the first place. I figured that I probably ought to use KG-60, which was started over in this vicinity, roughly here, and come over and see what I could do against 28th Tank Corps. So let me see if I can help to make sense of what I did. There were 2 activations. There was a first activation partial, second activation partial. Acquired a fatigue point in each as a result of each activation. So not good if we were looking longer term, but this is turn 3 in a 3-turn scenario. So white arrows are first moves, the tan are second activation moves, and the red is basically its retreats on the part of 28th Tank Corps units. So sequencing was a bit like this. Starting off here, the 160th CRAD, the 160th Reconnaissance Battalion, took this path going around the river here up to just north of Hill 174.9. So they then engagement number 1. They engaged 56th Tank Brigade and got them to, I think they traded hits and got 56th to take a retreat. A situational retreat to this location. So then the reconnaissance unit issued a shock attack against the 32nd Infantry Brigade and got them to take a situational, but at this point we're down to 1 step. That was also the second firing action for the reconnaissance unit. The armored unit came up from here, more or less along the same path, to the 56th Tank Brigade unit. They got into another engagement, which ultimately caused a retreat over here. I think that there were losses, 2 losses, I want to say, for this guy, 2 or 3 in the turn. Okay, let's see, did a move from, I believe it was here, over to Hill 111.6 to put the headquarters in a better defensive position and to get closer back to the combat trains, which had not been in optimal range and had been ghosted. So from doing this, I unghosted the combat terrains. I'm not so certain that that is appropriate, but I couldn't find, I didn't look too hard. I couldn't find the rules that said exactly when I was supposed to do so, but it seemed reasonable to me that, hey, now we're in optimal range, haven't moved this guy, flip him back over. Okay, we take the fatigue point, we're at FAT 3, and we go for the second activation and get a partial. Now, this is using the Conz House Rules by Claire Conzelman, which says that I don't have to make this roll on a 4. I don't have to roll a 4 or better on a d6. I just simply get the second activation, and I immediately proceed to snafu roll. That's for mechanized, motorized panzer units. Infantry do not get that. Infantry gets what is called a force march, night march activation. They'll get a chance making the die roll here, and then doing their snafu if they get it. They'll get their chance after all the mechanized formations have done first and second activations. Now, in a second activation, you can get no better than partial, but that's fine. I got a partial. Okay, 10 arrows. And the sequencing of this was about right. So first thing I do is I come up with the 160th Armored Battalion at a KG 60. I come up here next to 55th Armored Brigade, which was right here. So this is our initial configuration. Oh, the white X was the, what do you call it? The objective from the first activation. This red X right here is the single objective marker from the second activation. This was a reconnaissance marker that was placed a little later. So we're starting off more or less in this configuration, have an engagement, and the guy basically does the conditional retreat over here. This seemed to be about the right way to go. We'll leave him there for a moment. And that's pretty much it. The guy has more, can do more fire, but has used all the movement potential, I believe. Yeah, only had 2 movement, used the 2 movement, so nothing much else to do. So the reconnaissance unit, initially starting here after having conducted the shock attack in the first activation, takes this path and comes around from the north and engages 55th Armored. And it's a mutual. They both took a loss, and they had been down to 1 strength point each, or 1 step each, so not so good. And finally, we have continued movement by KG 160 to come over to Hill 165.1. Again, nice defensible terrain. We've got the Pioneers here, which are not too bad, pretty stout unit, all things considered, and will help kind of jumble things up a bit. Not perfect. It's not a perfect situation, but we are extending a nice AV ZOC in this mega hex. So that's going to make things somewhat problematic for this unit, trying to maybe do an end around and get to this crossroads, which is still, I think it's still a possibility. A full move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, yeah, 28th Tank Corps gets a, if 28th Tank Corps gets a full activation, which they are still fresh, they have a decent chance of getting a full activation. Then in fact, I'm going to go 28th Tank Corps next because I can call the game if they, well, not necessarily, but they can take that crossroads, at least in their activation. Now, that's going to be somewhat problematic though, isn't it? Now, he's only got 1 step. Ha, we get to play those kind of games. So isolation effects, I've got to get the headquarters up there within 5 hexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up here. Can't be done. Very unlikely to be done, because the only other thing I have to work with, assume he goes around, and the only other thing, I have an anti-tank unit, which is not very good. I have this this unit right here, which again is not very good, and I'll get stopped right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's possible. Possible. I don't know if the Zoc, I don't know if that is going to cause a problem. I'll have to take a look at it. I don't know if I can run a safe path through a leg and motorized Zoc through these hexes to get to that unit. And in which case the isolation effect, he's going to take a step for sure, and he's gone. Well, that's not so good. Well, do what I can. Anyway, that's what's going on here. I think it was a fairly eventful, it's just a handful of units, but the way that you compose all of this stuff together, you compose things, you sequence things. We had a grand total of 4 engagements. And I think the first engagement actually had more than 1 round. Again, that is the major tank fights rule out of Conz House Rules that says until one side or the other is either destroyed or either voluntarily chooses to retreat under the right circumstances or is forced to retreat, you keep going. So you get lots of shots for your 1 fire event. And yeah, I rather like that. I mean, you don't just rock up your M1 tank platoon, say, 1 shot, let's do a platoon volley, and okay, let's call it a day. But I mean, it's a level of abstraction, I think. I think that it's an interesting rule. It does tend to make the AV fights a lot more bloody. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, I think. If you look at a lot of the accounts in the literature, you see pretty high tank kill counts on a daily basis, even on multiple engagements per day. Engagement in the morning, killed a bunch, engagement in the afternoon, killed a bunch, and so on. So it seems certainly plausible that that you would see those kind of steps being taken. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for watching the video. I hope you like and subscribe, as you will. Love to hear your comments below, especially again, I have not looked up the legality of flipping this over during my first activation. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hexes, and my headquarters moved to Hill 111.6. So I hope I didn't take the liberty of doing so, but I believe that I could flip my combat train over. So anyway, thanks very much, and I will see you down the road.